I've got Jeff with me today. He's a PT in Las Vegas who already started a home health therapy company, but it was only until last year where he really put 100% of his focus on it. And it's been super exciting to watch him really, really quickly grow. So, Jeff, thanks for being on with me today. I'm really excited to hop into the story of your company and its growth that it had over the last less than 12 months. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool, man. Well, yeah. Start us off here. Tell us a little bit about your background, and I'd love to go over the story of like the first time we talked and like what had just happened before, and then kind of catch us up to now.
Yeah, for sure. So when we first spoke, I had been running an outpatient Part B mobile therapy company for a corporation, and they ended up going bankrupt. And so we all kind of lost our jobs. I've always had this home health company that I started even from when I graduated. This was the first thing I did as soon as I graduated, was I started the little side. I wanted it to be a side hustle. That was always kind of the plan. I was going to be a sports orthopedic physical therapist like every other person that comes out of school. And this was just going to be like my little side hustle because, it's good money, short duration, didn't require too much of an effort. And so that's how it kind of was for maybe 3 to 4 years after I graduated. I went through the whole sports medicine, sports and performance physical therapist. Obviously, that didn't work out. And I got hired on, like I said, as that outpatient Part B provider. We all lost our jobs from that. And so I kind of put me at a crossroads of what do I want to do? Do I want to go back to doing the sports and performance PT with the 8 to 5 hours, the standard salary, treating, obviously like a clientele that people enjoy. I loved treating athletes and, higher level adults, who wouldn't? But also, with me having a family and me wanting to kind of create generational money and set me and myself up and my girls up for the future, it was kind of a hard decision. And, what do you want versus what's going to be best for you and your family in the future?
Hmm.
And so I kind of was met with that fork. Do I want to kind of go all in on my own company and give it 100% because it's gotten 30% up until that point of my time and energy. But I've seen the amount of money and growth and opportunity that you could get just with 30%. And in my head, I was like, okay, well, what do you think that that's going to be at 100%? And, essentially, I chose my own company and my own path. I had been making money for everybody else at that point in my life. And I felt like I had the skills and the drive to do it for myself and to cut out the middleman. And so I went headfirst into that. And I remember when we first met, I messaged you and we talked a little bit about, what you offer in terms of mentorship and growth for this side of the business. And at that moment, I just didn't have the initial investment, having just lost my previous job and just starting this job. I didn't have the patience, the clientele, the network, anything like that. With me supporting my family, I couldn't make that initial investment. But I knew after talking to you that you were going to have a lot of the tips and tricks to grow this to get to where my goals were essentially always going to be and where I wanted to be. And so I think it was like a couple months later, I had built up a decent amount of money, decent amount of therapy team to support, and I was ready to make that big jump. And so ever since, starting and working with you, offering a lot of the tools that you give, a lot of the things that, you don't know until you know, kind of a thing. And, the experience of, hey, I've gone through this, I've hired, 500 people. This is what works. I've done contract negotiations hundreds of times. This is the wording that works best. I've negotiated salaries and negotiated rates with all these home health agencies. This is the wording that gets, the best results. It's just the stuff that, that's why mentorship exists. You just don't
Sure.
know until you know. And so I knew if I really, really wanted to give myself the best shot of this working and becoming, everything that I had hoped for, it's kind of silly to think that you can do it all yourself, or at least, this is a shortcut. Maybe I could have figured it out over the course of 6 years, but I don't really want to wait 6 years to get to that point. I'd like to do it in a year or two, or even
Yep.
less. So that's kind of where I was at with that whole journey and what kind of brought me to the point of where we're at now.
Yeah, man, and you're not giving yourself enough credit because I'm gonna go back and kind of fill everyone in on kind of where you were at and where you're at now. Because when we spoke, and I think it was maybe May or somewhere around that time last year. Does that
Yep.
sound about right?
Yep.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, man, the company went under. I know to the
I
day.
remember the day and time.
Yeah, I think it was around May. And you were like, I've got this home health therapy company already formed. It's been like a major side project, not getting much of my attention. And I actually didn't realize it had been 3 or 4 years. I didn't remember it being quite that long, and you're like, I'm gonna go now and kind of ramp it up my own, see how I can really take this to the next level. And then once I really get the ball rolling, like I'd like to work together, is kind of how you said it.
Yeah,
And I talk to a lot of people that say something similar. And if I'm to touch base with them 6 months later, they've done nothing. Okay, that's almost always the
sure.
truth of how it goes. So when you reached back out in, I don't know, October, something like that, and we caught up and you caught me up on where you're at, I got to give you a ton of credit because I was super, super impressed because you went from, like you said, spending very little time and attention. And funny when you put 100% of your attention, what can happen? But yeah, you went from having very little time and attention on something. I mean, how many therapists did you have? Did you have any, or was it just you
I
doing
had two.
two? Okay.
I had a physical therapist that was like a friend of mine that was basically running my company for me and
Yeah.
one PTA for them, and that was it. Because I had a full-time salary job. I would see a couple people here and there, but really she was just doing all of the evals, reassessments, discharges, and I had a PTA seeing like, I don't know, 10 people a week maybe. And
Yeah.
like I said, it was just a side hustle. It was a couple $100 extra a week in my pocket at the most.
That's what I thought I remembered. Like $1,000 or something a month was the
Like a
revenue.
thousand a month, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It was like $200 a week extra in my pocket. That was really it. Which,
Yeah.
at the time, it's like cool, it's a couple dinners, but yeah, like I said, it's not a lot of effort involved into that.
Yeah, and then like fast forward to where you're at now, what was like last month's revenue?
Last month's revenue, if you incorporate, honestly, actually, I think I might even have lowballed it. I think if you incorporate the cash pay side of it as well, it's probably closer to 38,000 a month.
I mean, that's incredible.
Right.
Like I said, I got to give you a ton of credit because like you went from basically zero thousand
Yeah,
dollars
yeah,
maybe a
honestly.
month
Yeah, yeah.
to 38,000. I mean, that's incredible. And you mentioned the cash component. What percent is home health and what percent is cash?
Home health is probably like 75, 80%, and the cash
Mhm.
pay about 20.
Does the home health like end up being some cash patients? Like, is that a lead generation or do you have some?
Big time.
That's what
Yes.
I figured. We haven't really
Always,
talked about that, but that's what I assumed.
it's always been my mindset of what I do too. Obviously, it would be great to be 100% cash pay.
Hmm.
Documentation's easier, money's better, less restrictions. You get to do all the fun stuff, dry needling, cupping,
Hmm.
all the fancy schmancy stuff. Everybody wants that. Coming from the outpatient performance center I used to work at, we were a 100% cash pay clinic, and we all went through extensive sales training when we were there.
Hmm.
And so I understand the value of a warm lead versus a cold lead. And when you're in home health, every single patient that's referred to you when you don't have to do any of the work is a warm lead.
Yep.
Eventually, their insurance is going to kick them off and they're not going to be able to stay on home health once they are not eligible as, home health patients, once they walk past 100 feet and can get out to their car and drive. But how much more work and benefit can they get from therapy after that? So your job, in my mind, is to build a rapport with that patient, show them why you're a better skilled therapist than all the other home health people that have come out and seen them in the past. And then as soon as they get discharged, that's the perfect opportunity to have that conversation and say, hey, I would love to continue working with you. This is what my rates are, and this is what we can continue to work on and work on some different goals and some higher level goals, still at the comfort and convenience of your own home. And I can't tell you how many cash pay people I've gotten from just that conversation and that transition because they like working with me or they like working with some of the other therapists that I work with and have
Hmm.
trained and hired, and they want to keep working with us. They like us, they trust us. So I think it's a huge aspect of building the company past even, what we've talked about.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that you had like a big percent that was cash, and that's why I was curious if they're coming from home health because I
Mhm.
talked to a lot of people that want to do the cash thing, and it just always comes down to the same problem, which is like the bottleneck of how do we get whatever you want to call them in that world, clients, leads, patients.
Yeah.
It's where everyone I've seen really struggles unless they're down to spend $10,000 a month on ads and, try to bring on patients one phone call at a time, selling them into these packages of 8, 10, or 12, whatever.
Yep.
But I always knew, and we didn't really do much of this, but I always knew that if you wanted to take the patient that you get for free from home health, and then exactly like you said, they've graduated, they're no longer homebound, we can't continue to see them. I always assumed it'd be such a dang easy transition. And of course, like you said, you have your sales skills that you picked up in that other job, but like you said, it's just the warmest lead. They already been working with you for
Yeah.
6, 8 weeks. They trust you. They know you know what the heck you're doing. You show up on time. They like you.
Well,
I mean, that's awesome. That's really cool to hear you built that into the business.
yeah, it's and like I said, I want that to be a huge part of the business because
Yeah.
number one, the money is better,
Hmm.
not to just be all about the money, but like it's better. You get the opportunity to charge a higher rate because you get to use more of your skill even outside of the home health setting.
Sure.
Do higher level activities with them that, a lot of people take for granted the basic stuff, and that's a lot of home health, getting out
Hmm.
of bed, getting up the stairs. But when you can get out of even that realm, then you get into people's hobbies and what they're super passionate about. People are not passionate about getting up and going to the bathroom. They're not passionate about being able to climb their stairs. It's a necessity that they take for granted and they figure out how important it is. But if you can tell them, okay, we've gotten you back to driving, back to independence within your house. Now let's get back to golfing
Hmm.
because you used to golf 3 or 4 times a week and you miss hanging out with your buddies and you miss swinging the club and being able to get out for 4 hours a weekend. People will pay for those kinds of things every single time because that's what's really truly important to them. They don't understand that the other stuff is important and vital, but they love what they do. They love their hobby. So yeah, as soon as you can transition into that, it's such a huge thing. And yeah, I said that's my entire schedule now. I don't really see any home health people. I'm completely full and booked with cash pay people. 80% have come from home health people I treated. And I just kind of, I was like, might as well get paid to get leads. And you're getting paid good to get leads. If you don't convert, even if you convert at a 10% rate, eventually you're going to fill up. Eventually it's going to become lifelong patients. So
And you now have a real staff of therapists that are able to see all those patients because your schedule is full with these cash ones that you've made.
exactly right. And yeah. And again, that was another one of my personal goals was I like to treat cash pay because I like to use a lot of the skills, continuing education things that I've learned in the outpatient world. I just like using, I like being that kind of a therapist. I don't mind being a home health therapist. I'm good at it. I'm efficient at it. But, my passion specifically is, I want to be able to use a wider variety of tools and get people back to really doing the things they love, kind of like what I talked about. So if I can get the staff to do the home health visits and keep generating the revenue, that gives me like a safe baseline to really grow that cash pay side and focus on what I'm truly passionate about and what I love to do.
Super
So
cool. You've really like blended both, right? Like you're building a real business using home health and you're also adding cash services and kind of like scratching that itch that you personally have for the
yeah,
way you want to treat patients. So that's very unique and very cool what you've done.
yeah, appreciate it.
I want to talk a little bit more about kind of what we were just starting to talk about, which is like how recruiting has been. You had one PT do, I mean, you're doing $200 a week. You weren't doing too much.
Yeah.
One PT, one PTA, May of last year. We're in January right now. What's it look like now, and how was that process?
Yeah, I mean, so initially, obviously, when you go, transitioning to 100% of your time and effort, I was more focused on getting the team built up. Obviously, I needed more people to cover more areas of town. Before I met you, the way I did that was really just word of mouth. Like I asked the PTA that I was working with, I asked the PT that I was working with, hey, do you know anybody? I went to my school, my class from everyone I graduated with, and I asked them, hey, does anybody, want to transition and looking for something new? Or do you guys know somebody in your clinic that is maybe unhappy and looking for something new? So I just tried to, low hanging fruit, just talk to who I know and see if I can get any bites. And I did, I got a couple, and that was great. That got me to like the next step. I think I was able to do one more PT and I did take a couple people from the job that when we all got fired and or not fired,
Perfect
but
timing.
bankrupt. I had already assembled a great team there that I was using, and they all needed jobs too. So I got kind of lucky in that regard. I was able to kind of take, some really good people that I already trained and I trusted with
Mhm.
me. So that kind of gave me that initial boost to kind of grow and cover the area of town, the city a little bit more. But then at that point, once you've kind of reached out to everybody that you know and there's no other options of people looking, that's where I kind of got a real roadblock. And that's where I found a lot of benefit from one of the modules that you had was constructing like a really great Indeed account. Because I can't tell you how many people I've even come in contact with that are physical therapists that are like, I don't get any responses to my Indeed. I've had an Indeed up for months and I haven't gotten one response. And I've heard that across the board. And so I was actually reluctant to even do that because that's all I heard. I was like, well, I'm not going to waste my time and effort putting up an Indeed account if nobody does that. But after looking at what you did and watching the module of how to construct it strategically, I looked at like what would have been like your Indeed ad when it was all finished that you made. And I was like, as a PT, that would vastly interest me in applying for that job as well. And so I took those skills that you gave and I created, a couple Indeed accounts for a couple different positions. And I have gotten, I literally can't even tell you how many, I've probably gotten 8 PTs apply in a month and a half. I've gotten 8 to 10 PTAs apply in a month and a half. I've gotten a couple OTs. No speech, unfortunately, but that's just where I live. There's no speech here. But to the point where I have a waiting list of people right now because my company cannot grow anymore. I can't take on any new clinicians until I get the next foundational step kind of set up and get some new contracts and more contracts. I don't want to take on people and not be able to give them work.
Yeah.
So I'm very transparent with everybody. Like I would love to have you as a part of the company. I've interviewed everybody that has, applied, and I basically have just built a wait list up of once we're ready to go, and once I get a couple more contracts, you guys are ready to go. Submit your stuff, and then we'll hit the ground running. So it's been very beneficial in that regard. I've built a great team. I've got a great team now that's at capacity. And even better, once we start hitting the ground running, I've got people that I can start pulling in immediately so that I don't have to tell any of these new referrals no.
How cool is that? You have a wait list for people that want to work for your company.
Yeah.
Like that's super, super cool. And like just think of all the companies out there, like you said, that don't even get an applicant. And you have people literally saying, Jeff, when you've got space, like
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. That's super cool.
Yeah. I mean, as a PT, when they see what the potential is for flexibility of schedule, earnings, being able to pay their student loans back, getting the peace of mind of I didn't make a huge mistake becoming a physical therapist, because it's a lot of people's mindsets, and I don't blame them. I've had the same conversation with myself. Did I choose the right profession?
Hmm.
It's rough when you've paid $200,000 and you see these salaries for 70, 80, 90,000 tops. It seems like you're never going to be able to get out of debt. You're never going to be able to crawl out and make something of yourself. So when they can see the potential in this specific field of physical therapy and you can show them that and you can give them the confidence that they're going to be able to do that and achieve those goals that they have, I think, yeah, like I said, I'm not surprised there's a wait list. I am and I'm not. Because like I said, when you give them those tools and you give them that hope, I mean, why wouldn't you want to apply for that? There's nowhere else in physical therapy you can go where you're going to make that amount of money and have this much freedom of your schedule. It just doesn't exist anywhere else.
Yeah, and like the Indeed thing is funny because people will be like, "Well, I've tried Indeed before," and it's like Indeed is just the platform. It's like I've used the internet before. I've used the Yellow Pages. I've sent mailers before, but like that's just the platform. There's strategy around it, like what you write, what you say, how you offer things, like that. That's what actually matters. The platform is not what actually matters. So it's cool to see like right out the gates, you took that information, you put it in, and you've gotten these, incredible results. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you say in the module. The job of Indeed is to not hire the candidate. It's to get the candidate to have a conversation with you.
Yep. Yep.
Once you have the conversation, in my opinion, it's over. As soon as someone calls me and reaches out and says, "Hey, I'm interested," I already know I've got them because I can offer them something that they will not get anywhere else.
Yep.
There's
That's the
nowhere else you're
beauty.
going to go.
That's why I like these companies so much because like, look, what is it? 7 months or something? You've gone from $1,000 to $38,000 revenue. Incredible. Beyond that, you've hired how many therapists total now?
I have 12 now.
12 therapists, you're able to pay them way more than they would make in any other setting and have the flexibility to actually be around their family, do the things they like.
Yep,
And then we're helping all the patients. Like it's such a cool model because every level wins in such a big way. And, that's why I've always been so passionate about this model and like seeing everybody have these stories and experience it as the business owner is super, super cool.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And like it's funny because it's not funny, but it's cool to see because when we first did the call, I remember you said, my goal is to have the number one home health therapy business in Las
Yeah,
Vegas.
yeah.
I remember you said that.
Yep.
And here we are, what, 7 months later,
Right.
12 therapists hired, waiting list for people that want to work for you. What, 38 times bigger revenue than when you were starting? Like it's very cool. And if your goal is to be the number one in Las Vegas, like you're certainly moving in the right direction. And it's exciting to watch.
For sure. Yeah. And I know, and that's the peace of mind to me is I know what roadblocks lie ahead.
Yeah.
And know that once I tackle those, I'm like I'm almost nervous of how much growth there's going to be because it's yeah, like it's just nerve-wracking to think like, man, I'm gonna have to hire people to like basically like full-time administrators and people to, do all just referrals and do documentation aspects and, who's gonna train and educate, all the therapists full-time. Like your mind just starts going to all these places because the potential is insane. It really is. But it's exciting because I know it's 100% achievable. It's not out of reach. It's not unrealistic. It's just a matter of like how much growth do you really want? It almost feels unlimited.
Hmm.
There's so many, at least for where I live. I mean, we have 160 home health companies in a 20-mile radius, and they're doing thousands and thousands of visits within each of them every year for Medicare. And it's just like it's crazy to think, there's so much work and there's so much opportunity. And yeah, with the right foundation and the right setup, yeah, opportunity. It's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, and it's crazy because the one thing that you brought up with me that's like your like barrier to getting to the next level, we can solve that super, super quick. So like
Yeah.
that's like
Right.
not a big deal.
Yeah.
And what you said is so, so true. It's like it's one of these things that I hate saying because it sounds so cheesy, but I've been saying this to one of my clients recently because he's got like 50 something therapists, I think, at this point.
Wow.
Did over $1 million last year. And I'm like, man, you are just one agency away from like having the potential to double your business because like you just said, there are so many, and if you can just find the right ones that are like the whales in your market,
Absolutely.
overnight you can double like the amount of referrals you can. And this happens for I had one just last year. We were in business for like 12 years or something. And I think we billed, I can't remember exactly, was it 28 or $38,000 in 1 2 week period to the like a brand new agency. It's like that. You can flip it to where was that like $600,000 extra or something,
Right. Yeah.
just one agency. And we were just starting with them. Like you can ramp beyond that.
Yeah.
And
And
it,
I don't have any of the big fishes out here. Honestly, all the companies I have now are, it's a couple of them are mom and pop shops. And this is the revenue that you do with those. I mean, like I haven't even, struck oil yet with, one that does 16,000 Medicare visits, at a time. I mean, that's insane. You get that contract, you have to hire 15 more people. That's when the wait list is going to be beneficial.
oh
But
yeah.
it's good to build the foundation of all that because yeah, if you get one of those, like you said, like revenue just you could triple it, quadruple it just with one agency if you get the right ones.
Yeah, when I started my company, the first big agency we got was a big national corporate agency. And like very quickly, we were doing $50,000 a month. And it was really just me and a really small staff of therapists. And like I felt those pressures. You're like, dang, this is a lot of work. Like I want to be able to take all these referrals. And when you don't have the staff and like you're getting all these patients sent to you, and you're just like, this is thousands of dollars that if I could just say yes, if I just had the staff to take
Yeah. Yeah.
like we could fulfill. It's very eye-opening and it's super exciting. And like the next agency could literally do that with where you're at right now.
Definitely.
So man, that's super cool. Um, I guess what would you say, like, since joining the program, what do you feel has been like your biggest win?
I think I think my biggest win for me personally, because like I said, a lot of what is in the modules, I think is geared a lot towards people who have never done home health before. I
Mhm.
already had my business set up. I didn't have a huge team, but I know how to manage people. I had a little bit of a team. I knew how to be a good home health physical therapist. I know how to, dress, show up on time, do the documentation. I mean, I have the experience in all those regards. The biggest thing that I needed was how do you turn your, this is my little side hustle into the number one home health company, staffing company in Vegas? And I had no idea. Like I had ideas like maybe you do this, maybe you do that. I had no idea the scale at which you needed to be prepared and all of the different systems that you need in place to be able to take that next step. I didn't even know where to start, literally. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know if I could have gotten there by myself, maybe, but like I said, it would have taken how many years because it's very easy to just, I'm making good money. It's very easy to stay complacent with making a decent, living wage and, just kind of cruise along. But you keeping your goals in mind, I really needed that extra like framework of these are the next steps that you have to take to really be able to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
And I mean that's what I was looking for. I needed the guidance. I needed to be able to steer down that path and understand like what was required to get down to that path in order to achieve all the goals that I had.
Yeah, man, like that's really what I have to offer is just time compression because you're totally right. You could figure out all this stuff. I figured it all out. Took me 12 years. I made a ton of mistakes. I did a lot of expensive things that I wish I had never done. But I figured it out, right? But like, yeah, I wish that I could have compressed time and it's been super cool to see what you've been able to do in like literally just a few months, essentially.
Yeah, it has. It's only been really like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I've been super happy. I've been very, very appreciative. There's a lot of helpful tools, a lot of helpful thing, like I said, that just things I would have never even thought about. And I was like, that's the thought process of someone who's done it and been there and has the company that I'm looking to have. That's what he did. That's what, should be done. That's how, you have to market. That's how you have to speak. That's the emails you have to send. That's the backbone you have to have when you have these conversations. Like all of those types of things, you just don't know until you know. And so having someone that's been there, especially having done exactly what I'm trying to do, there's not a lot of people doing what you do that have been there and have done it. And literally like every single thing that you have achieved along the way of, creating like the staffing company, transitioning more out of patient care into, business manager, CEO, going to selling a company and, taking it to market and getting value for what you've created. That is everything that I wanted and am looking to do. So to find someone that has done it and been there and is willing to share the knowledge of how they did it, it's just not, I mean, like I said, it's just, I don't even know who else is doing it. I don't know if there's anybody else out there that does this.
Yeah, man, the gatekeeping, especially in our industry,
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah, for sure.
and
It,
like,
and that's the crazy part is like there's so much work. That's why like I have other people that come to me and ask me things and I'm like, I'm not afraid to help you out and share with you because like I said, I can't even take on any more work right now. I'm in a position where I have saying no right now. So there's plenty of work. There's companies out here that are doing 16,000 visits a year and there's 150 of them. Like there's not, you don't need to sit here and, we don't need to be so petty with each other and try and protect the more you collaborate and work together and help other people, it's like you're helping the product anyway. We got into this business to help patients and to be better skilled physical therapists and treat at a higher level. So I don't really respect people that try and hide all the secrets and don't try and help out the next generation or people who may not have gotten the same training and mentorship that we did. I just find it selfish.
so well said, and I hope some people hear that and like take heed of it because that was super well said. There are too many people that just really keep everything behind closed doors, especially if they live in your own city, right? Like if they're in your own market, they see you as competition. And like you said, there's so much business to go around. It shouldn't be that way. So cool to hear you say that. I'd like to kind of close it up with a question about, it's January 22nd right now. What's the goals for this year, man? Like what's the big stuff that you want to achieve in 2026?
The biggest goals is getting my own EMR system completely fully established and set up. Being able to hire, I have 12 therapists now. At the end of the year, I would like to have at least 20, if not 25.
You can have more than that.
Which for sure, yeah. I just my like something I know I can definitely achieve 20 to 25 therapists. And then I would like to be able to start going after those bigger fish and at least sign 10 new big home health contracts. So 10 new companies, 15 new therapists, and being able to construct my own system where I can go and have all the leverage in these conversations and be able to basically go to a home health agency and say, I got you. You sign the contract, you don't worry about anything else. I will provide you with the highest level of skilled therapy that you have. I will give you therapists that will be on time, that will do a great job and make your business more money, and then we'll all make money in the long run. Like you don't have to worry about anything else. Just trust me to do my job and we will make money together.
I
Those
love
are
it,
my
man.
big goals.
Those are
The
great goals.
revenue will come with all of that as well. So obviously I've got a revenue number in my head, but I'm not, if all those goals happen, the revenue is going to be there.
Yeah, our levers are more referrals, which is more agencies, which you got covered, more therapists to see all those patients. And then
Mhm.
the third lever is rates, which we've talked about in the past. And as you hire more therapists, as you cover more areas, as you have more value, you're
Yeah.
talking about having your own EMR, the rates naturally increase because you provide so much more.
And they kind of have to at that point because same like I kind of just done it with the cash pay realm even. I've raised my rates probably like 25% 3 times since May.
Yep.
I started out really, really, moderate. I know people were going to take this rate. I just needed to get my foot in the door, establish myself in the community. But it's now at the point where it's like I can't take anybody else on. So if you want me, you have to pay a premium now at this point. I mean, my value has just gone up. I don't have any space left. So
Yep.
if you don't want to pay it, the next three people that have asked and call, they will. And so when you get to that, it's nice and beneficial when you get to that point, you can have those conversations and you have more leverage in those deals. You go to a home health company and you say you want your evals to be at 120 and they come back and say, no, we can't do that. Okay, well, the next one will. How bad do you need the coverage? We don't need it sounds, I don't want it to sound rude, but we don't need you. You need us more than we need you kind of a thing. We've
Yep.
got 150 other people we can go to. You're the one struggling with the coverage. I got the people and I have the skill to do it.
Yeah.
So,
And
but
that's
once
what
you get to that
2026
point,
is going to look like for you, I think.
yeah, and then once it's just about getting to that point. You got to build up like you said, you have to build up the team, the coverage area, and build up your value. What value do I bring to you? And I think by, having your own system in place and highly skilled therapists that, follow your rules. I hold my therapist to a higher standard than, a home health company that hires staff employees and cycles through them every 3 months because they can't keep them. My people are better, it's just really that simple. They're more educated. I give them more continuing education opportunities. I stay on top of them more because that's my job. That I just have less things that fall through the cracks, and that means more money for you guys.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that's awesome, man. Like I said, your story has been super, super cool to watch from like, I think it was literally week one, company's gone bankrupt. What the hell am I doing? I got to figure this out. To, I don't know, 7 months later, $38,000 a month, 12 people working for you, a wait list of therapists that want to work for your company. Super cool to watch. So I got to commend you for all the progress, and I'm really looking forward to see what does happen this year because I think all your goals are very attainable for everything that you've done so far.
I appreciate it. And I thank you for all of your help and the system that you've constructed to help people like me.
For sure, man. Always happy to help. Well, thanks so much, Jeff. I appreciate it today.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. Thank you.
For sure. See ya.
Bye.